The rhythmic clang of hammer on steel was the heartbeat of Master Kenji's small village forge. A sound as familiar as breathing to his young daughter. Hana. Kenji wasn't just any blacksmith. He was the revered guardian of the Nomura no Tsurugi, the legendary grass-cutting sword. Gifted by the storm god Susanoo to the imperial line generations ago, its presence brought an unspoken peace, a shimmering symbol of divine protection resting within a simple wooden stand beside the glowing hearth. Every evening, Kenji would gently polish the blade, its surface swirling like captured moonlight, whispering tales of celestial battles to Hana as she watched, wide-eyed and safe. The sword was their shared secret, their sacred duty binding them closer than blood itself. One night, a tempest unlike any other descended upon the quiet village. It wasn't merely wind and rain. It felt alive. Predatory thunder didn't crack. It roared like an enraged beast, shaking the very foundations of the forge. Hana awoke to a blinding flash of lightning that illuminated a terrifying silhouette. Not human, but a swirling vortex of shadow and storm cloud. Reaching towards the sacred sword stand, she cried out, but her voice was swallowed by the deafening gale. Kenji burst into the room, his face etched with primal fear, just in time to see the spectral hand seize the blade. With a howl that chilled the bone, the entity vanished into the raging night, taking the sacred sword and the village's sense of security with it. The days that followed were heavy with despair. Without the sword, the village felt exposed. Vulnerable crops withered under an unnatural chill, and whispers of unease poisoned the air. Kenji aged years in a week. The light gone from his eyes, he knew the legends spoke of the sword's immense power falling into dark hands, bringing ruin. Driven by a desperate love for his people and his sacred oath, he kissed Hana's forehead, promising swift return, and set out alone towards the treacherous storm peaks, the rumored lair of vengeful mountain spirits. Hana watched him go, her small heart a knot of fear, clutching the simple wooden practice sword he had carved for her years before. Weeks bled into a month, filled only with anxious silence. Then, one rain-lashed evening, a figure stumbled into the village square. It was Kenji, but barely recognizable. He was gaunt, feverish, a deep, unnatural wound marring his shoulder like frostbite. He collapsed before reaching his forge. Hana rushed to him, tears mingling with the rain on his face. He could only rasp, his voice a broken whisper. The cave high in the peaks guarded by Kaminari, the storm spirit too strong. His eyes, filled with anguish and fading strength, locked onto hers. Remember, the sword's truest power lies not in its edge but in the heart of its protector. With those final words, his hand fell limp. Kenji's funeral pyre lit the night sky, its embers mirroring the cold fury hardening in Hana's grief. She wasn't just mourning a father. She was accepting a legacy, ignoring pleas to stay. She packed meager supplies, dried fish, rice cakes, her father's worn whetstone, and her little wooden sword. At dawn, she began the arduous climb into the storm peaks. The path was cruel. Jagged rocks tore her clothes, icy winds stole her breath, and haunting echoes whispered doubts. Yet, her father's last words echoed louder, a steady drumbeat in her soul, pushing her through the treacherous passes where even mountain goats feared to tread. Deep within the highest peak, she found the cavern mouth, a gaping maw exhaling an unnatural, bone-chilling cold inside. The air crackled with static, and there, hovering above a pedestal of ice, pulsed the Nomura no Tsurugi, its celestial light dimmed, ensnared by threads of crackling black lightning guarding it. Was Kaminari, a shifting, terrifying form of swirling storm clouds, lightning for eyes, and a low, continuous thunder rumble shaking the cavern floor. It sensed her instantly, turning its wrathful gaze upon the small intruder. Fear threatened to paralyze Hana, but she remembered her father polishing the blade, his calm reverence, his whispered belief in its spirit. Hana didn't raise her wooden sword to fight. Instead, she took a trembling step forward, then another, her eyes fixed not on the spirit's fury, but on the captured blade. She remembered Kenji's gentle hands, his quiet stories of its celestial origin, his unwavering belief in its benevolent spirit. Tears streamed down her face, not just of fear, but of profound loss and love. It doesn't belong to anger, she whispered, her voice small but piercing the storm's roar. It belongs to the sky, to peace, to protection. Like my father believed. She reached out, not aggressively, but with open palms, radiating pure, desperate sincerity and the immense, selfless love she held for her father and his duty. The storm spirit Kaminari hesitated, its lightning flickering erratically. The threads of darkness binding the sword shuddered, weakened by the unexpected force of her pure heart. With a sound like a sighing wind, the dark bonds shattered. The aim no Murakumo no Tsurugi flared with pure, radiant light, bathing the cavern in celestial warmth. It gently floated down, landing softly in Hana's waiting hands. The storm spirit, its purpose confused by this gentle courage, dissolved into a harmless mist that drifted out of the cave. Holding the warm, pulsating sword, Hana felt not triumph, but a deep, resonant connection. She carried her father's love, his courage, and the sword's true spirit back down the mountain, not as a warrior, but as a humble guardian whose heart had proven stronger than any storm. The village welcomed the sword's return with tearful relief, and though Kenji was gone, they saw his strength, his kindness, and his unwavering spirit shining brightly in the eyes of his daughter, the new keeper of the light.